Hello my fellow cinephiles, welcome back to the custom Hearthstone expansion, Gnomeregan Film Festival. Last time I showed you the trailer for the expansion, as well as an announcement video that introduced us to all the big features of the expansion. Well, in this video I'll be showcasing all the coolest cards and mechanics are made for each class. Let's start with Death Knight. Death Knight's cards in this expansion are all about the death rattle keyword. This can be seen on one of the legendaries, the Headless Villain.
Come forth, my minions! Unleash your breath! Choke them with the stench of death!
The Headless Villain is a new spin on the Headless Horseman. He is a 6-mana 5/5 undead with a blood and unholy rune. When you play the villain, he lets you choose a friendly minion and will then trigger its death rattle, and then he will destroy a random enemy minion with more attack than the minion you chose. But of course, since this is the Headless Horseman, this text is written in a rhyme. But one of the big features in this expansion is legendary spells for each class. And for Death Knight I've made this one, Hallow's End. This 7-mana spell with 2 Frost runes and 1 Unholy rune will resurrect 3 friendly death rattle minions and then deal 6 damage to all minions, including the 3 you just resurrected. Getting 2 powerful death rattle legendaries might be a bit much, but with their rune combinations they can't be played in the same deck. For Demon Hunter I've introduced a brand new archetype, the Ball. The Ball is an unplayable token spell that attaches itself to a friendly character and gives them +1 attack this turn. But then after that character attacks, the Ball will move to another friendly character that can attack, but now with +2 attack. It will keep passing to other characters and increasing its bonus attack as long as you have characters that can attack. But when the turn ends, the Ball will disappear and get reset to +1 attack. Several of the Demon Hunter cards in this expansion will be able to generate the Ball. Demon Hunter's 2 legendaries might also be able to slot into this deck, like the legendary spell, the Blind Sight, which will give your hero +1 attack this turn for each enemy minion. And then if you attack the enemy hero this turn, the spell will cast again next turn, and this can potentially repeat until the end of the game. Or the other legendary, Ace Athlete Cream, who has the custom keyword Rest of Game, which is essentially a battle cry that lasts until the end of the game. If your hero attacked and kills 6 minions this game when playing Cream, your hero will be immune while attacking for the rest of the game. Druid gets many new cards that revolve around Treants, like the legendary spell, the Cycle of Nature. Long-time viewers of the channel might remember my Druid overhaul also called the Cycle of Nature. Well, this spell is an homage to that video, and it also has a very similar effect. The Cycle of Nature is a 4-mana nature spell that will cause all your 1/1 saplings to be 2/2 Treants. Your Treants will be 5/5 Ancients, and your Ancients will be 8/8 Giants for the rest of the game. This will of course transform any of these minions you already have on the battlefield, but it will also change all cards in your hand and deck that interact with these tokens, and any future you generate. Druid gets these new cards to support this legendary. And here's what they look like after playing the cycle. Now for Hunter. Hunter gets a very exciting new archetype, Shot Hunter. Hunter gets many new shot spells and cards that support it, but not in the way you'd expect it. These shot spells aren't magical arrows, but film shots. The legendary for this package is Fizzle Cinematographer.
Alright, let's just set her down nice and easy.
Fizzle is a 3/3 minion like the last time we saw him, but this time he costs 4 mana and is a hunter card. When you play Fizzle, he will let you discover a shot spell from the past, present and future. This means you first get to discover a shot spell no longer in standard, then one in standard, and finally you get to discover these 3 brand new 4-mana shot spells. Nexus Shot, which will deal 2 damage to an enemy 3 times. Righteous Shot, which will deal 3 damage and then draw that many cards. Or Bestial Shot, which will deal 4 damage and summon an Emerald Tiger with that many stats and rush. How do these shot spells relate to the future, you ask? Well, subscribe to the channel and find out very soon. Mage gets a lot of mix and mix support. If you didn't see the last video, the custom keyword introduced in this expansion is Commercial. When you draw a card with Commercial on your turn, you can choose to spend 1 mana, and then the card will get upgraded into its commercialized form. Mage gets this card with commercial, Astro Droid. This 2-mana 2/2 mech will reduce the cost of all mechs in your hand by 1, but if you commercialize it, it will also reduce the cost of mechs in your deck. And a mech you'd probably want to reduce the cost of is the Doomstar. This is a 9-mana legendary mech with 0 attack, but 30 health. However, each turn the Doomstar will be vulnerable to a random number from 1 to 9, which will be displayed above it in-game. If the Doomstar receives exactly this amount of damage, it will be destroyed. At the end of each of your turns while the Doomstar is still alive, it will fire a laser at a random enemy, dealing 10 damage. Now for Paladin. For Paladin, I made a brand new archetype, Popcorn Paladin. Popcorn is a new 1-mana token spell that gives a minion +1/+1 and a random bonus effect. But this bonus effect will also be added to all your future Popcorns. This means if your first Popcorn gave the minion, say, Rush, your next Popcorn would also give Rush and then another random bonus effect. This will ensure that no bonus effect gets repeated. Paladin gets many cards that generate Popcorn. Another big feature of Gnomeregan Film Festival were the new film part token spells. These are callbacks to the spare parts from Goblins vs Gnomes, and just like them, they are 7 1-mana spells that target minions. Paladin gets this card that generates film parts, Foam Fighting. Paladin also gets this legendary minion, Moviegoer Linessa.
She sounded like a Murloc!
Linessa is a 7-mana 2/6 minion, and when you play her, she will recast all 1-cost spells you cast on friendly minions this game, and once again they will target friendly minions, but randomly. This way you could recast both all your Popcorn spells, but also any film parts you've cast. The legendary spell I made for Paladin is Explorer's Endgame. This 2-mana spell will change your hero power into the Gauntlet of Origination. This 2-mana hero power will summon a random 2/3 Super Explorer. This could be Fantastic Finley, who has Rush, or Iron Brand, who has Taunt. It could also be Reno Man, who has Divine Shield, or finally Starseeker, who has Elusive. Then after summoning one of these Super Explorers, if you control all 4, it will snap the enemy board in half, randomly destroying half of all enemy minions on the battlefield. This effect rounds up, so it will always destroy at least 1 minion. The priest cards in this expansion are all about silence. Last time I showed priest legendary spell A Mute's Life, so this time I'll show their other legendary, the Mute. The Mute is a 3-mana 4/4 legendary undead, and when you include her in your deck, you get a small addition to your deck that holds 3 cards. Here you can drag 3 minions from your deck into, and then when you play the Mute, she will silence those 3 minions no matter where they are. Now for Rogue. So what's the last thing you'd expect in an expansion that needs you to draw cards on your turn? Well, one of Rogue's archetypes in this expansion is Mill. Rogue gets this legendary spell, Silence of the Lerms. This 1-mana spell will shuffle a 3/3 Murderer into your opponent's deck, and then when you destroy him, your opponent's hand size will be set to 8. The Murderer is summoned when drawn, and his effect is not a death rattle or anything, so even if he's silenced or killed by the opponent, the effect will still complete. Rogue's other legendary is Investigator Holmes. This 3-mana 3/4 Murloc will replace all cards in your hand with 1-cost clues. These clues will discover one of the cards that were in your hand and then reduce its cost by 2. Each card will only show up in the Discover pool once, so the last clue will only give you 1 option. But the real powerhouse of this package is Determined Detective. This is a 4-mana 3/5 epic minion, and after you cast a 1-cost spell while he's on the battlefield, you will refresh 2 mana crystals. Playing Determined Detective alongside your Investigator Holmes is a quick way to make your opponent concede. Alright, now for Shaman. The most interesting Shaman card in the expansion is by far the legendary spell, The Morning After. This 5-mana spell will set the cost of all cards in your deck to 1, but will then give them overload equal to their missing cost. So after playing this, you would get some very powerful turns, but you'd essentially only get to play cards every other turn. Warlock sees the return of an old beloved archetype, Fatigue Warlock. Warlock gets these 3 new cards that take fatigue damage to trigger an effect. The legendary spell for Warlock is the Baradin Redemption, which you probably want to play alongside your fatigue cards. The Barret in Redemption costs 4 mana and will cause any damage your hero takes to be dealt to the enemy hero instead until the end of the turn. Warrior gets the legendary Raambo.
You're no match for me.
This 5 mana 3/6 minion has Rush, and whenever he attacks a minion, it will be removed from the game instead without Raambo taking damage, because Raambo is that good at killing. Warrior also gets a ton of other cards, but this video is already so long, so I'm gonna call it here. But if you're interested in seeing all 145 cards from the expansion for yourself, you can head to the description where a link will take you to a very cool overview of the entire set. Check it out! That's it for today. If you stayed through the whole video, kudos to you. Thanks for watching. If you have any notes on any of the cards, leave a comment and I'll have them changed in a future patch notes video. And don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps. Next time I have something very exciting planned, so I will see you then. Bye!